Welcome, I'm Vivek, and in this video, let's see how to deal with those out of interest or demotivated days of your exam preparation. So, how to stay motivated during those days. During your good days, anyone will do well. Now, the way you deal with your bad days, that will define you. Let's say you're preparing for an exam. Now, you'll face that initial stage in which you're very much interested or very much motivated, concentrated, and everything will go perfectly according to your plans. Now, somewhere in the middle, you'll fall into this trap. A phase in which you lose all the interest. Even if you sit in front of the books, you don't feel that same concentration in learning. So once you fall into this phase, how do you deal with it? Now, one thing that I've heard many people say is this: be determined towards your aim, be very focused, and you'll do it. But what I felt from my experience is this actually works when you're working towards building a project, or let's say you're building something, so it'll work. But in examinations, this will really not work. This is what I felt. Maybe the reason is this, that when you're writing an exam, you're probably writing it for an admission to a college or maybe for a job. So your actual aim is not simply getting a rank in this examination. Whatever is your actual aim, you have to work after reaching the college or maybe after getting the job. Now, this exam is just the first step towards your actual aim. So maybe because of this, you're not feeling the same thirst or something that you find while working for building something or maybe working for a project. Secondly, this determination, this can't be instilled in someone. If you are determined, you're determined. If you're not, you're not. So this can't be pushed into you. So it's actually not in your hands. This is what I feel. What I'll suggest in this video is a practical method that's something that stays in your hand and you can control, right? So let's start with this. Let's say you're dealing with a disease or an ailment. How do you normally deal with it? First thing, you'll take vaccination as a precautionary measure before you get into the stage, and in case you get this ailment, you'll take treatment, right? So I suggest to deal with this demotivation in a similar way. First thing is to take the precautionary measure. See the last 5 to 10 days of your life. How did you do each and everything? What you'll understand is you'll have a daily routine, and this daily routine is actually guiding your life. 80 to 90% of whatever you've done will be according to this routine. So whatever you wanted to do fresh on that day, that will be a meager 10-20%. So what you can do is try to take this routine to your advantage. Try to make a new routine which will help you with your gate preparation and also suits you personally. See, if you are a person who normally learns for half an hour, don't put 10 hours for learning in your routine. That doesn't work. Put 1 hour. If you are a person who sits for 5 hours, 5 hours in your routine. So be practical and form a routine which actually works for you. Let's say you go to college, come back from college, then sit for learning for these many hours, then you will take tea, food, whatever, or you will play for some time, whatever it be. Whatever be your routine, form it. So this you have to do it during the initial stage, that is before you enter this demotivated stage. During the initial stage, it's easier for you to form this routine because you are anyway very much interested, you're concentrated, you're high on spirits. So during this period, it's easier for you to form a new routine. Now, stick to it, artificially put in your efforts and stick to it for, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks. What happens is, after 2 or 3 weeks, this automatically becomes your habit and you'll keep following this. Now you will get 2 advantages. Firstly, this will take off wastage of time from your life, because in our life, most of our time is wasted in decision making. Let's say you came back from college and you'll think whether I should go and take tea and come back, or should I sit and learn and then go to play, whatever. So this decision making, it takes off those precious 5-10 minutes from my life every here and there. What happens is, if you sum these up, it will be a big amount at the end of the day. Now, if you have a strict routine, what happens is, as soon as you come back, you know exactly what you have to do. So you don't have to decide. You simply go and sit and learn, then you'll go for tea at this point of time, you'll come back and do this. So once you have this routine, you will avoid wasting time. Secondly, the actual aim that we were working towards, that is avoiding demotivation. During your demotivated phase, the question is whether you will still fall into this phase or not. Then the answer is yes, you will still face the demotivated phase. But the profit is this. Normally, in that stage, you will be only, let's say, 5 to 10% productive. But during this routine, if you have the routine, you will manage some 30-40% productivity. So having no productivity and having 30-40%, this is the actual trade-off. Because see, you can't expect you to be at your best during all days. There will be days when you're not at your best. Now during those days, even if you manage 30-40% productivity, that's good enough. So if this routine helps you to manage 30-40% productivity during your off days, that's well and good. You're actually dealing well. Now, sometimes you will face this problem that even if you have this routine, you won't be able to follow it during this tough phase. You will feel like you're totally off and you can't learn at all. Now, how to deal with this? This is the second part. Let's say you're trying to learn. Now, first thing, you have to understand why you are feeling this demotivation. There can be normally two cases. The first thing, in which you have some external interest. Let's say you're trying to learn, but your interest is in a TV series or let's say a set of movies, whatever be your interest. Now, even if you are trying to learn, you won't be able to learn because your mind will keep telling you, go and watch that TV series, that's interesting. So your mind won't be here. You will be simply sitting in front of the book and thinking about the TV series. Now, what I'll suggest is this. There is no point wasting time in front of the books. Close it, decide that for the next 2 or 3 days, you won't open the book and you will totally devote for this TV series. Now, listen here. What happens, this happens to many people, that as soon as you make this decision and start devoting, let's say, your 2 or 3 complete days to TV series, you won't feel that same interest in TV series anymore. What has happened? That is, you had this interest in TV series, but it was not actually the interest that you had in TV series. Instead, it was an escape route that you found from learning. So, if you get into this stage where you suddenly realize that you're no more interested in watching the series, this realization is actually good enough for you to come back and start learning. Because now you know that you were actually not having a real interest in TV series. You were good enough to learn. So you can come back and do that. Now, if you're not that, if you actually still feel interest, go and complete it. Watch all the episodes, finish it off. That's the best way. Because if you don't do that, you'll keep thinking of that again and again. Best thing, devote 2 or 3 days to that. Go and watch it continuously, finish it off. That's the best way. Now, there is another case in which you are actually not interested in anything. That is, see, the first case is easy to handle because you know the reason that is diverting you from your studies. You are interested in something else. So if you do that, it's over. But this second case is difficult because here you don't know what's your problem because you feel guilty of not learning. At the same time, you don't feel like learning at all. You don't feel interested in anything. So this is actually the toughest phase that an aspirant can face. How to deal with this? This is the only option. First thing, close your books. That is, if you sit there for 5 hours, neither will you learn anything, nor will you do something of your interest. And at the end of the day, you're going to have a very low point because you'll feel like you totally wasted your day because neither have you learned, nor have you did something of your interest. So, close your books and decide whatever interests you at that point. It may be partying with friends, it may be talking to someone, it may be going for a trip, maybe a movie, whatever it be. See, sometimes simply sleeping can give you a lot of relief. So if that's the way, go and sleep. Whatever is your interest, find something and devote to it for the next, let's say, 2 or 3 days. Do it come back, and then you will actually feel that fresh aura, that fresh sparkle in your life. What this does is, this takes you back to those initial days where you started learning, because now you feel like you already lost 3 days and you have to start it all again. Now you have that new interest, you can plan again and have a good learning schedule. But if you simply, let's say you simply sat in front of the books for those 3 days, you will simply sit there without interest and waste all your days. So what you have to do, first thing, understand, realize that you are in a tough phase. Don't expect 100% productivity. See, you are no big Superman to not have the low phase at all. You are also a human being like any of us or any other person in the world. So you will face that low in your mind. So during those lower phases, first thing, realize that you are facing a bad time. Realize that you are in your low, accept it, and then try to face it. First thing, try to follow a routine during your good days so that during your bad days you will stay 30-40% productive. And if that doesn't work, understand that you are not interested in learning. Try to do whatever is distracting you, try to finish it off. If there are no distraction, try to do something of your interest for the next 2 or 3 days, and then come back to learning and have a fresh learning, because at that point your mind will be fresh, you will totally feel that new aura. It will help you for learning, right? So this is what I had to discuss. Hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching.